Let me put it this way. If you were to somehow time travel back to 2010 and explain to me what was going to transpire from the simple idea I had at the time to start a synth club, there is no way in hell that I would believe you. My name is Tobias, and I'm one of the founding members of Techno Logic. So back then, there was no way that I could have known that this program would go on to transform my life the way that it has. That being said, I feel so grateful that I've had the opportunity to play this small role in this community and for the friendships that have formed from it. Over the last couple of years, Chelsea and I have been working on a completely new project. We are super excited to share it with everybody, but before we do that, we thought maybe this would be a good opportunity to kind of reflect back and to tell the story of how we got here in the first place. We're going to be kind of closing the chapter on Techno Logic as it has existed, and we're going to be kind of transforming into something new, and it's called Chompy Club. But a lot of you have been interested and kind of curious as to like what's going on in our life and what's going on in this community, and I'm sorry that we haven't been more upfront with some of this stuff, but we ourselves haven't really known where everything was going to land. And I'll get into that in just a second. But if you are interested and you're curious to hear a couple of these stories, then bear with me. I might ramble a bit, but this video is for you. I want to start off by saying that virtually everything that Chelsea and I have ever hoped to accomplish within this program has been a direct response to the kindnesses that were shown to us initially when we first got started. Back then, we were living in Wellington, New Zealand, and we didn't really know the first thing about electronic music or synthesizers, or certainly not modular. But we ran into this group of people that would get together every so often, and they would bring their electronic instruments to the pub, and they would just have like an electric jam session, and it was like the raddest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I remember being so taken back by how inviting and welcoming that they were, that I was like, A, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and B, how can I be a part of it, you know? I remember very specifically feeling like, man, if there's ever a way that I could pay forward the way that they treated Chelsea and I in our own community when we moved back home, I want to do it. I want to find a way to make it happen. Okay, so fast forward the story a couple years into the future to when Chelsea and I moved back to Washington State, which is where we're originally from, by the way. And I think if I'm being honest, we were feeling kind of bummed out, you know, because we were losing this momentum that we had built up and leaving this music scene that we had fallen in love with. And we weren't really sure if we were ever going to be able to participate in anything as cool as that ever again, to be honest. But I think we also had the intention to bring that same energy and that same vibe and try to transplant it wherever we were going to end up. And that's really how Techno Logic was born. I'm sure for many of you who are watching, I don't have to tell you this, but one of the things that I've learned over the years is that so much of this type of art gets created in like bedroom studios that never sees the light of day, and no one ever actually listens to it besides either the creator or like maybe the significant other or something. But after a while, you know, I think we need that connection and we need that validation to the things that we're making. And so in the beginning, I think that's really all I wanted, was to create a space where people could come and share what they were working on and to feel seen, you know, and to feel validated in their art. At first, we had really no idea what to expect, because to be honest, we didn't even know if there was other people in the area who were doing any of this stuff. But sure enough, once we started to put on these events, people started coming out of the woodwork, and those monthly events kind of kept growing and more people were inviting other people. And it got really exciting for me when a lot of people who were really interested but who hadn't started yet started to come and ask questions, similar to how when we got started in New Zealand. And that's when I knew things were kind of coming full circle for what we were trying to accomplish. If you've been in this scene long enough, I think you'd agree that many of us have a lot of the same questions when we're first starting out. And I started to recognize a lot of the newcomers were really eager to do some of the same stuff and ask similar questions. And so I thought, well, maybe I need to start putting together these kind of pathways for beginners, like workshops and other ways for the community to kind of support this group of people who wanted to get started. So that kind of really led to my first curriculum development. And little did I know, that kind of became what I would end up doing for the next couple of years. So it's at this point in the story that things get a bit interesting. At the time, I was working a full-time job in the film industry, and then simultaneously, I was designing and teaching curriculum at our Techno Logic events. And I did not expect this, but at some point, word must have gotten around that I was designing this curriculum. So I was approached with kind of like what I considered to be like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which was to take all of the stuff I was doing with Techno Logic and kind of reformat it so that it would work for high school students 5 days a week in kind of what would be like a modern version of a music program. And I gotta be honest, like I had no idea what I was signing up for at the time, but it felt like I just had to do it. I had to kind of figure out how to pivot my career and kind of take on something totally new, but at the same time, it ended up leading to a lot of areas that I don't think I ever would have explored otherwise. Teenagers are like really, really brutally honest. And so you get this incredible bouncing board for all these ideas that you might have. And they knew what they were in on. You know, we were all trying to figure out something together that really hadn't been done, at least the way that we were trying to do it. And I can now say that I'm so glad that I said yes to doing it, even though it was simultaneously one of the best things I've ever done, also one of the hardest things I've ever done. But it allowed me to have this sandbox to be able to try and figure out what it is that this next generation is actually looking to accomplish as artists. However, like many stories, it has not just its ups, but also its downs. And if you've been following along for a little while, you've probably seen on social media some of the stuff that Chelsea's posted regarding my vision loss. And as much as I hate talking about it, I felt like at the very least I wanted to come on here and let everybody know that all of your encouragement and your love and support over this last year has been so amazing. And I am so thankful to be a part of this community. And for those that are curious, I don't really want to go into all the details, but I had to undergo a series of 4 surgeries this year. I have a hereditary condition that I've known existed for a long time, but things just kind of started to progressively get worse exponentially, and it's happening a lot faster than I was expecting it. And so I didn't have a lot of things in place that I was preparing for, because I was hoping I'd get until my 50s or 60s before I get to this place. But here we are. Needless to say, I am doing considerably better than I was a year ago. I'm never going to go back to being quote unquote normal. I don't think I would qualify as normal in any category. But I'm really excited about this next chapter of my life. And as much as I've had to kind of rethink and redesign things, I feel like I'm headed in the right direction, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. So that's where we're at. And if you're still watching, I appreciate you listening and bearing with me. I guess at the center of everything I'm trying to say here is thank you. Thank you to everyone who has supported us over the years. There's too many to name names, but you know who you are. And I'm not just saying this, but we are super excited about what this next chapter is going to bring with Chompy Club. And Techno Logic moving forward is probably going to look a bit different, but just know that we've essentially taken all of the last 10 years of experience and all of the passion and all of the things that we've learned, and we've put them into this next endeavor. So if you want to follow along, you can go to chompyclub.com, or you can follow us at chompy.club on Instagram. And I'm sure you're going to see a bunch of information in the next couple months. But thank you.